Hello, all my ghosts, goblins, ghouls, vampires, werewolves, zombies, witches, wizards, and all those haunting creatures in between. My name is Miss Liz, and I am your spooky librarian from the Half Hollow Hills Community Library. And I am here today because we have a fantastically, frighteningly awesome program for you all to try at home. This week and the next few weeks, we're going to give you some Halloween hacks that you can do at home using stuff around the house to get ready for what is not probably, I don't know why I'm saying probably, but for what is my most favorite holiday in all the land. If you have never met me before, you might not know this about me, but I love Halloween. I call myself the Queen of Halloween. So I have gathered up some librarians from Half Hollow, and we're going to show you some of our favorite Halloween decor hacks that you can try at home. Now, most of these crafts are designed to be done with stuff that you can find around the house, or maybe you can use some recycled items to make it more sustainable. That being said, everything that we're using is subjective, so if you have something that looks a little different but might work better for you, feel free and go ahead and use it. This is all about what works for you and what you want your Halloween decorations to look like. So if you are ready to have a fantastic time with me and some of the other librarians here at Half Hollow, get some of your supplies. We're going to go through what we need in the next slide, and we are going to get started with this week's program. So for today's Halloween hacks, we are going to make 3 different types of Halloween luminaries. So what you're going to need for the basics of this project are 3 different kinds of jars or containers that are see-through. It can be glass, plastic, whatever you have at home. You're also going to need these battery-operated tea votive lights. They can be any color, any shape, any size, but they're going to go into your jars and containers. So just make sure that they fit in what you're using. You're going to want to grab some white tissue paper for some of these projects. You're also going to want to grab, you can see I'm struggling trying to find it. You're going to want to grab some paint to do one of the luminaries. So we're going to need orange. I didn't have orange available, so I'm going to use red and yellow to make some. And if we're painting, of course, we need some kind of paintbrush. You're also going to need a pair of scissors. We're going to need some glue or tape, whatever you prefer to use. You can use Mod Podge too, whatever works for you, whatever you have at home. It doesn't matter. You're going to want to grab some spiders. In this pack, I have some spider rings that we're going to use. If you don't have these readily available or you can't find them, you can also make your own spiders out of paper. I'm not going to show you how to do that today. I forgot to record it, to be honest, but you can just use some tape and some scissors and make your own spiders out of black paper. And that's it. You're also going to need cotton balls. I did forget to film that part, so grab some of those as well. And we're going to get started on our first luminary. So the first thing we're going to make, or I'm going to show you how to make, is a pumpkin light. So for this one, we're going to use some orange paint. So like I said, I didn't have orange paint, so I used with what I had and worked with what I had, rather. And we're going to make our very own orange paint using yellow and red. If you don't want to make a pumpkin and say you want to make this look like Frankenstein's monster, feel free to turn your jar green. If you want to make it a ghost, feel free to make it white. It's really whatever you want to do. I wanted to make a pumpkin, so that's the color that mine's going to be, but make it however you want. Really, what I'm here to show you is the technique to make this luminary, so it does involve paint, and that's what I'm here to demonstrate. But again, feel free to make this whatever color you want. If you're mixing paints like I am and it's not the color you want it to be, feel free to keep mixing it up and adding more colors until you get the perfect shade that you want. So as you can see in this example, I put way too much red in, so I'm going to keep adding more yellow in until I get it to be the orange that I want. So once we get that color, I will meet you back here and we will start painting our jar. So now that I have that orange paint ready to go in the color I want, what we're going to do is we're just going to brush it onto the jar that we have. So what I recommend when you're doing this at home is to use even strokes and make sure that you're coating the surface. You want to take your time and do this really slow. You don't want to have any bubbles or too much gloopy paint because it will take forever to dry. So just be patient and just coat the whole jar in whatever color you're doing. Like I said, I'm making a pumpkin, but feel free to make yours whatever kind of creature you want. And just be patient, take your time, and really, really, really be careful on this step because it is going to be the base of your whole project, so you want it to be as perfect as possible. And then once you have your whole jar coated in the color paint that you want, you're going to set it to the side and let it dry. So it should take about 1 to 2 hours to dry if you did nice, thin, even strokes of paint, but it could take upwards of a few hours depending on how gloopy or ploppy it is. So just be patient and take your time and revisit it once your entire jar is dry. And if you want to know what that looks like, here's my example of the jar. I let this dry for about 2 hours, and I can tell it's dry because it doesn't look wet and there's no shine to it. Now, at this stage, you can decide that you need a second coat of paint, or if you're like me, I like when it has that streaky look. It kind of gives it like a spooky vibe, I think. I'm going to leave it as one coat, but you can certainly make it a second coat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a marker and start decorating my pumpkin. Now, again, this step is entirely up to you, and it's going to look however you want. I'm going for a traditional jack-o'-lantern, but feel free to make it your very own and make it as fun and creative as you want. So here's what my jar looks like after I draw the jack-o'-lantern face. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it out before I add anything else to this jar, because you know my rule of thumb, if you've done any programs with me before, you can always add more, but once you do something, you can't take it away. So here I am putting my votive candle in here to test it out and see what it looks like. Now this looks great the way it is. However, me, being the extra Halloween queen that I am, decided I wanted to make it more spooky and more pumpkin-like. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to give it those lines that a pumpkin usually has, and I'm going to write a special Halloween message on top. That's just because that's what I want to do and what I want it to look like. So feel free, again, always make edits, keep making it to be exactly what you want it to be. There's no right or wrong way to do this. And now after I made my edits, I'm going to put my candle back in. And this is exactly how I wanted my painted pumpkin luminary to look. So it does get lost a little bit in the bottom. You can readjust it to make it look however you want. I know that the light doesn't show up, so hang out to the end and we're going to have a big reveal of what this looks like in the dark. The next luminary that I want to show you how to make is going to be a mummy light. So this is going to utilize a different set of craft skills. What you're going to want to do is grab your jar. Again, plastic, glass, whatever you have, doesn't matter. As long as it's see-through, it will work. And you're going to want to grab some tissue paper for this and your pair of scissors. And we're going to start out this project by just making some strips of our tissue paper. Now, if you don't have tissue paper at home, you can also use actual tissues, toilet paper, gauze, really whatever you have. Just make sure that it's light and kind of see-through, and it will work for this project. You can try to use printer paper or construction paper, but it might not be as see-through, so I do recommend finding something a little bit lighter and a little bit more see-through. But yeah, you're just going to cut up some strips, however many you want, and then we are going to get started making our mummy. So take your time. These don't have to be perfect, but once you have them done, we are going to start wrapping them around our jar to make it look like our mummy friends. So the way that we're going to do this is you're going to take your glue or tape or adhesive, whatever you're using. You're going to put a nice big glop on your jar to make sure that your tissue paper or whatever you're using will stick to it. You're just going to tape the top part down or stick the top part down, whatever you're doing, and you're going to wrap it around your jar however you want. There is no right or wrong way to do this method. It's your mummy, so his wrappings are going to look however you want them to look. But yeah, you're just going to keep doing this until it looks the way you want. I want my jar pretty covered, so it's going to take me a few strips to get it there, but you can make it as light or as heavy as you want. It's entirely up to you. So just, again, kind of like the painted pumpkin, take your time, be patient, and just make it really look the way you want it to look and how you want your mummy to be. So yeah, that's it. And then I'm going to come back once this is entirely filled and give you one more quick tip for this one. So once your jar is covered to your liking, what I like to do is I like to give my mummy some texture because, let's be real, these mummies have probably been in the ground for a little while, so they're not going to be all neat and perfect. So what I do is I take a few of the strips and I crumple them up in my hand to give them some texture, and I just kind of glue them on top to make them a little bit rumply and like he, is fresh from his slumber. But again, this is a step that I just like to do. You can do whatever you want. If you don't want any texture, feel free to keep it neat and perfect. That's up to you. And once our dressing is all done, we are going to give our mummy some eyes. So if you have googly eyes at home, this would be the perfect time to utilize them. you can put them on. Or if you don't have googly eyes at home, that's okay. I'm going to show you a different method. You can either draw them on some of your excess tissue paper, or we are going to use actual white paper in this example. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how you stick your googly eyes on, just in case you've never used them before. Why not? You're going to take your glue and just glue them on the back and then press them firmly onto your jar. Make sure that they're even, or if you don't want them even, you don't have to make sure that they're even. It's really whatever you want it to be. But you're going to press them on nice and firm so that they stick on. And if this is what you're doing, you're pretty much done. If you don't have googly eyes at home, though, like I said, grab a white sheet of paper, or really any color paper that you want his eyes to be. I think yellow, green, purple, or orange would actually be pretty cool for a mummy. So those work as well. And what you're going to do is you're just going to draw 2 circles to be his eyeballs, and then we're going to give him 2 black dots to be his pupils. So really simple, really easy, and then you're just going to cut them out when you're done. And once you have your eyeballs cut out, you're just going to take your glue, similar to the googly eyes, and you're going to glue them onto your mummy. So on one side I have my googly eyes, on the other side I have my paper eyes. You can decide which one you like best and go for it and do at home whatever you want to do. Or if you have something else in mind, buttons or bows, anything like that, those can also be eyes. Get creative, use what you have. There's no right or wrong way. And that's what our mummy will look like. So if you want to test it out, because I'm big into testing out stuff, you can grab your votive candle and we're going to see what it looks like when you cover him up. So again, just turn on your battery operated light, stick it in the middle. This one I do recommend covering. It just makes it magnify the light a little bit better. I don't know why, but I think it looks better when he's closed. So I'm going to keep his lid on, but you don't have to. And again, at the end, I will show you what he looks like in the dark. Don't you worry. And the last luminary we're going to make is a spiderweb light. So for this, you're going to need a smaller jar. Smaller is better, but if you have a bigger one, that's fine too. It just means you're going to need more supplies. You're also going to need some cotton balls for this. You can also use, if you don't have cotton balls, but you do have some spider webbing at home, you can use that as well. And definitely make sure you have some kind of spider to put in your jar, whether it's a spider ring or a spider that you made on your own using construction paper, or maybe a sticker of a spider. It doesn't really matter, just that's kind of what we need because it is going to be a spider web light. I know spiders aren't everybody's favorite, so if you don't want to make this a spider web light and you can think of something else or want to draw a face on it and make it a ghost, that's totally up to you. Again, it's your Halloween decoration, so make it what you want, but I'm just going to show you how to do the spider. So to start out this one, we're going to take a nice handful of cotton balls, and I'm just going to stick it in the jar. And this is just so that I know how many that I'm going to need for this project, because I don't want to waste any cotton balls. I'm also going to take some of the spider webbing and mix it in there just to give it some different textures. This is just a creative step that I'm taking. You do not have to do it. Once again, feel free to do whatever you want, but just pull it apart and just stuff your supplies in that jar and use as much as you need. And then once you have your jar all filled, you're going to empty it out, and these are going to be the supplies that we're going to use for this project. And what we're going to do is we're going to make our own spider webbing, so that's why I said at the beginning, if you don't have any, that's fine. And all you have to do to make your own webbing is take those cotton balls and really pull them apart, make them stringy, and make them fun. And you're just going to do this with every single one of them that's in the jar, and make sure that they're nice and pulled apart, and you can start putting them back in your jar as you pull them to create that spider web effect. Once you have the final remaining cotton balls pulled apart, you can now take your spiders, whatever you're using, and stick them in your jar. You can put them in the middle, you can put them on the outside, put as many or as few as you want in there. 1 works, 3 works, 2 works, 5 works. If you want to fill the whole jar with spiders, that works too. Really, whatever you want it to look like. I'm using 2, I just wanted 1 on each side. You can then stuff the top a little bit more. It just depends on how you want this to look. I will say though, don't overstuff your jar because you want the light to go through the cotton balls that you ripped apart. So if you have a little space in between the layers, that's perfect. And what you're going to do for this one is we're going to take our light and we're actually going to put it in upside down. That's so that it's easy to get to the switch. We can turn it on and off. And as you can see, it lights up my spider webs. So as promised, I'm just shaking it up because I want to get some of those air pockets. But as promised, we are now going to take a look at all of our luminaries in the dark. So here is our pumpkin light in the dark. I'm going to spin them all around so that you can see what they look like. They're super fun, super bright. Like you saw, that was that little candle in this big jar, and it's lighting up all this stuff. A pro tip I will give you that I didn't do for this project is if you want the light to be higher up, you can stuff your jars with stuff, either old newspapers or anything like that, and prop the candle up. That's entirely up to you. Here's our spider light. As you can see, it really glows. It's super fun, super creepy. I love this one. The spider's my favorite. And here is our mummy light. He came out the best, in my opinion, of the ones that I made. He is super bright, super light, and I can't wait to put him in my room for Halloween. I think it's going to be a fun addition. But yeah, these are the 3 different ways that you can make luminaries this Halloween. Thank you all so much for flying around this week's program with me. I hope you learned some pretty cool Halloween hacks that you and your family can try at home. If you do any of these crafts, or really make any Halloween crafts in general, and you want to share them with us, we would love to see what you've made. Please feel free to send any pictures, videos, or anything you want to the email address below, and just let us know what you made, or what you want to make, and maybe you'll see it next time. On behalf of the Half Hollow Hills Community Library, I would like to say thank you for haunting this program with me today. I hope you had fun, and I cannot wait to see what you made. Tune in next week to see what we've got next. Take care and have a spooky day. Bye.